All right, on this jam session, Shannon Beitchman stops by and Jodi Hess stops by. Awesome. We ready to roll?
We're ready to roll. Ready.
We got this. All right, guys, I'm Bob Johnson, and this is the 55th episode, Brandon. What are we at, 55 or 56? You should know this. Oh, 55. Well, this is the 55th episode of the BobMortgage Jam Session. So you're number 55.
There you go.
How does that make you feel? You excited?
We're 1 week over your year anniversary, it sounds like then, right? 54 weeks in a calendar year. 52.
52. This is going to be a great show, guys, I promise. We're going to go math over here.
Just ignore me.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I am excited to have you guys on. I am excited to have you on the show on the 54th episode, or 55th episode, yes. I mean, you know, and when we do these, guys, you know why we do these shows. I mean, it is to help you guys get your brand out there. I hope that by me doing these jam sessions with partners, with people that are in this industry, whatever it is, however I do them, it helps get more attention to your guys' brand. And at some point, you know, maybe 1 month, 6 months, a year down the road, you know, I get that email, that text, that phone call that says, man, thanks so much for introducing me to Shannon and Jodi. Man, they helped me sell my house, or they helped me find the perfect home, or they just gave me some great advice on the market or the lifestyle that I want to live within real estate. And that's important to me. So I do hope that this jam session knocks it out of the park for you guys. So I know that, you know, not everybody knows who you guys are on these cameras. I know everybody over there does. What's up, guys? But there are going to be people that don't know you guys. So give me the 30,000 foot view, the micro, or let's go macro view of you guys. Just your bio, just a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of dive into the micro stuff.
Sure. So I'm originally from California, grew up in the Bay Area.
Oh, nice.
Then actually went to school out east at Georgetown. Loved going to school out there, and she's very smart. Done a lot.
Very smart. Math questions over here.
I actually got my major. I majored in Spanish, Latin American Studies. Never
wow.
actually expected to be in real estate. So my career took a lot of took an interesting path. So I got right out of school, I got involved in education. So I would really consider it more youth development. So everything from running after school programs to teen centers. I was a house parent for kids at-risk girls coming from poverty, which was fascinating.
Right.
And used my Spanish a lot throughout that. So that's sort of the connection.
Okay.
And then after 3 intense years of working in an amazing school with these girls coming from really rough backgrounds.
Right.
I mean, stories that you can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
After that for 3 years, and after our second child was born, our family moved to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So we went on vacation there, 6 weeks. I might be going too in depth here.
No, this is good. It's all right. I already have more questions coming, so it's good.
We went on vacation there. We ended up, our second week, decided to stay because we're like, well, why not? And actually the guy who lived in the condo above me, we were right on the beach. He's like, hey, you speak Spanish and German and English, and those are the 3 languages here on the island. Let's, my dad owns the Coldwell Banker franchise. Can you be a realtor for us? I was like, all right, sure. I've never,
You're right. Sure. Yeah. But go back. Spanish, English, and?
My mom's German.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I spent part of my childhood in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of how my real estate career began.
So you spent some time in Germany?
So kindergarten and 4th grade, I lived in Germany. And then after college, I went and waitressed there for a summer to keep up the language and
very cool.
Through Germany. So
Germany, Dominican Republic. What you got?
She's way cooler than I am. I'm just gonna say that.
I got South Texas in me. I mean, that's what I got.
Yeah, I'm from Central Illinois, in a small town outside of Peoria. I don't know if you're familiar with where Caterpillar is. So I was born and raised there.
Is that what you go by, Caterpillar? That's where.
Pretty much that is like the claim to fame in Central Illinois. Like everyone knows, oh, Caterpillar. Yeah, that's pretty much what's there.
Okay, gotcha.
Grew up there, went to undergrad at a small liberal arts school called Bradley University. After that, then went out to Chicago for grad school. That's where I met my husband. We were there for a while. I actually got my master's degree in industrial organizational psychology. So I did that for a while, and then we moved out to the Chapel Hill area in North Carolina. Then we were in the Outer Banks, and then we were back to Chicago, and then back to North Carolina, Frisco,
right.
Prosper. So, and that's how I landed here. And then,
so North Carolina Tar Heels, Georgetown Hoyas, little battle there. Do y'all have any?
No, Tar Heels and Duke. I mean, that is
Well,
like.
okay, I know that, but I mean, this, I'm sitting across from a Hoya and a Tar Heel, so
I mean,
you
I
don't
can't
even
claim Tar Heel
Okay.
because I could go to school there.
Gotcha,
but
gotcha.
Yeah, it's a great school.
I still love you.
Yeah. So that's why I came to Texas.
married,
Married.
children.
2 kiddos. I've got
Awesome.
A daughter who's 15
Uh-huh.
and a 10-year-old son. And then
Okay.
met Shannon in a previous work environment, and
Sure.
we just completely hit it off in regards to kind of our vision of how real estate was changing and how we wanted to go to market with, more so being a lifestyle consultant and lifestyle matchmakers, and then kind of jumped off and created our own team. And
I mean, you went from macro to micro.
Yeah,
We're start getting in really quick on some
so
things.
that's the
That's the
30,000
overview.
overview.
So married, 2 kids, 15 and 10.
Yes.
Married,
2
boys,
8 and 4.5.
8 and 4.5. Okay, so you're on the younger side of that on this. I have a 10 and a 12, so. But you have some experience with an older child, so you know kind of what's going to be happening.
12 teenage girls.
Yeah.
I know that, and this,
Right.
I have to say, her experience in that school, some of these stories are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like that level of experience. We have a foundation that we have in Via Foundation, and we work with people in Costa Rica.
Oh, cool.
And there's a lot of trafficking and things that happen, and for children and stuff like that. And it's a bad deal. I mean, we know what's great about Costa Rica and all the wonderful things that are there with regard to the landscape and how lush of an environment is and the beaches and all those kind of things. But there's so many challenges that exist over there with just individuals and helping them with transformation of life. So I get it, but probably not to your level at all if you're really dealing, in a micro side with those kids. So give me an idea of like, you guys started this group, North Dallas group. Dallas North Group, right in North Dallas. Dallas North Group, gotcha. But let's kind of start with like what your guys' days look like. I mean, because doing this, obviously, married, kids, being a real estate team, there's got to be some things that you guys maybe think about in the morning. You kind of start your day off. Is there any kind of routine or anything like that you guys roll with?
I mean, for me, I'm more of a night owl, so my morning starts the night before.
I love that.
So I always have my to-do list. I'm very oriented around checklists and scratching stuff off the list. So I usually have, and I always like to start my day with my 3 top priorities that I want to get done. It's typically, honestly, when I wake up in the morning, it's like sleep in as long as I possibly can.
Right.
Which, sleep in as long as you possibly can. We're talking
Like
7:30.
Right.
So,
Right.
Now it's like 6:45, 7 because I got to get up. But
Sure.
lunches have been made the night before. Everything's done the night before, so that in the morning I can get up, get the kids to school, get to the office.
Yeah.
At 8:30, and then at 8:30 we typically start rolling, and that to me that looks like usually it's follow-up. So any client follow-up is the first thing. I think that's the most important thing in this business is to be really consistent with follow-up. So whether that's generating new leads, but even more importantly, I think cultivating the people that we already have relationships with.
Right.
So that's how we start every morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything different on that end? Or you pretty much
No, I mean,
any meditation? I mean, do you start off a day a particular way to get you in the right mindset so that you can have the biggest impact on other people?
I think my days are a little bit different than Shan's. She's definitely a night owl. I'm definitely a morning person, so I
Okay.
like to go to bed. I call myself an old lady. My perfect night is going to bed at like 9 p.m. with like a cup of tea and a book. I like to go to bed early,
Okay.
get up early so that I'm up before my children are up, and I have that time to just kind of think about the day, think about what I want to accomplish, and just have a little bit of quiet and
Yeah.
intentional,
Quiet time's
moving
important.
meditation time,
Yep.
if you will. So similar to Shannon's too, the morning is getting the kids ready, getting them off to school, and then we really do try and get into the office so that we're interfacing with each other on a daily basis, because I feel like that's really beneficial not only to us as we're building our team and the camaraderie and the trust between us of moving forward, but also with our clients. And I think that's the biggest piece too of following up with the clients that we do have. I think a lot of agents get so nervous about business that's right now that's only trying to get new leads instead of really working and servicing those clients that they do have. So that's definitely, I think, our number one thing in the mornings, that we, not only try to lead gen at some point, but really, really focus and service those clients.
I love the quiet time, the peaceful time that people say they start out with in the morning. I would love to do that myself. I just haven't been able to get there. My challenge is I stay up late and I get up early, but I stay up late, meaning like I'll usually go to sleep around 12:30.
Oh yeah, that's late.
But I'm up by 6:15, right? So it's about 6 hours of sleep. But when I get up, I'm like ready to roll. I want to make sure that there's a bunch of tasks that I have. I got to get a lot of things done. I want to knock out the toughest one, the hardest one first.
Yep.
That way, I can kind of refocus and then get the rest of my day going. But I'm a lot like you in the fact that I don't want to go to bed if I don't already have that next day planned,
Yeah.
because I won't have a peaceful sleep. Right, I'm always thinking about different things, and I'll sometimes if I have not really buttoned up my next day the night before, I will wake up in the middle of the night and have to make a reminder. Okay, hey, I got to do this. Yeah, I got to do that, and I don't have a peaceful sleep at all. So,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
are you? Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And I know a lot of people like to work out or they like to read. All that stuff is great. I just don't find. I just don't make the time for it, or make it a priority. I want to get in. First off, we'll start off because my kids and my wife. My wife and I work together, and then the kids play sports and stuff like that. So we don't ever know when we're all going to be home at one given time, after school and in the evening. So we'll try to start out every morning with breakfast. That's like our dinner. Some families have dinner time together. We start off and we'll have breakfast time. And right now it's a little bit of a challenge because oldest doing volleyball, they have to be there. Like this morning, they had to be there by 6:15, 6:20 this morning.
So what time were you all getting up for breakfast then this morning? Or did
Well, like this morning, this morning it was a little different, right now because they're doing 2 days and stuff like that. So, our morning routine's a little off, but when we get into school, which we haven't started school yet, it starts next Thursday, we'll kind of be somewhat in a routine where we know that she has to be there every morning at 6:45. So we'll be there and have breakfast at 6:15 in the morning, and as a family, and that way we're good going forward.
Yeah.
So you kind of get in those routines,
Yep,
and then it's about getting here and starting to work.
exactly.
So give me a fun fact. Let's get this thing started. Give me a fun fact that camera may know a little bit about you. These cameras obviously won't. So something that maybe they just don't know about you.
Fun
A
fact.
fun fact.
Like a personal fact, like something you
Just a fun fact that somebody will not know anything about you. Maybe they can't even find it online with social media.
I think that would be pretty hard nowadays.
Yeah.
Everything
I know.
is so out there. I would say something you couldn't find out. My grandparents used to own a furniture store back in a little town called Menier, Illinois, and I used to pronounce it my ear. That's the only way I could pronounce
Menier,
it.
Illinois.
Menier, Illinois, or Minear, however you.
I'm assuming the S is silence in Illinois.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Just like in Missouri.
Yes.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I was their newspaper model on their furniture ads. That's something that somebody wouldn't know. It's not
Okay.
very exciting or.
There you go.
There you go. Something you could
A furniture store. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Let's see, fun fact. I mean, I'm part Native American, which no one would ever guess.
There you go.
That's
That's kind of that's cool.
pretty unique.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
That's, I
yeah.
mean, a lot of people probably already know that,
actually,
but
another fun fact. So when I was really young, my parents are like super. They're ex hippies, so like full on. Like in high school, I went to school with a crystal in my water bottle to help like energize, drink healthy water.
oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh, no,
things
it gets better.
Oh, there's some good stories here.
I mean, I've done all sorts, so I've sat inside of like large crystals before. I mean, I've done a lot of the California stuff.
I need to brush up on my hippiness because I don't know what she's talking about when you say crystals. I mean, seriously.
No, like a large amethyst. Have you seen those? Like large amethyst with a purple.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like some life-size one. That Crystal Bob was his name, not BobMortgage, who's Crystal Bob. So
There's a lot of Bobs
in
around.
Marin
Yes.
County. So there's some really interesting stories. We actually, my family, when I was really little, it was right before I started kindergarten. We didn't have a lot. They didn't have much money. They were pretty young when they had me.
Right.
So we lived on a campground for about 3 months, just camping out. And I remember thinking, this is awesome. Like I'm roasting marshmallows every night. I had no idea.
Total hippiness.
That my family was, not doing so well financially at the time. And then when I started kindergarten, we had to get our first apartment because they needed an address, and
Yeah,
the campground
no.
down the street didn't.
The campground didn't work, but they had the money to be able to get the apartment. You were like, no, I want to go back to the campground.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right, as kids, it wasn't. We were oblivious to the financial situations probably of where our parents were, but I love the campground. I don't want the apartment, right?
Yeah, and in Santa Cruz when I was really little, like one of our first homes was on a commune, so we all like farmed outside. So definitely spent like growing up, being outside, camping. That's all been part of my, journey as well, which is cool. So my kids just actually we sent them out to California for 12 days, and my parents, although now they live in Marin County in a nice house and are doing financially well, they still, they took the boys in a camper and they traveled down the coast, and the kids camped for 12 days and out there with my parents, which is super cool that they get to have that experience, and I don't have to be the one sleeping in the tent with them.
Yeah, we call ours glamping now.
Yeah.
We can't camp.
You got the Airstream?
No, well, I don't do the Airstream, but it's usually like a hotel. Somewhere overlooking like a creek,
There you go.
a lake. Definitely no camping. And my wife and kids, they're just, it was younger we got that, but now it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard to
have
get
one
them to go do
sister
that.
Who lives in Denver and is very, Sonia, if you're watching, her and her husband are very outdoorsy and whatnot, so me and my 2 kids went with them because we thought it'd be great for first experience. We should go with avid campers because my husband was like, yeah, you're peace out, you're on your own, I don't camp. So we flew to Denver, went up to the mountains with them, and the very first night, I mean, when you're in the middle of mountains, I mean, there's no towns, there's no
nothing.
lights, nothing. It's freezing cold in the middle of July at night, and my son screamed all night, all night in the tent because he was just completely terrified. The next night it was my daughter's birthday, and she's crying and saying, I want to camp again. And so that was our
That was your one.
That was our one, and done.
So we got a lot of experiences here, a lot of different places, a lot of different visits. You're here. What got you guys into real estate? Because, I mean, like you said, even you didn't plan on getting into real estate. I mean, it kind of wasn't like this mass thing that just developed and said, okay, hey, I'm going to get out of college or whatever, and I'm going to go help people buy homes, sell homes, right? How did that process start for you guys to get in and then connect with each other to start Dallas North Group?
You got it.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it really was, so my background being in education and working with people, I feel like there's a lot of crossover between working with kids and real estate and teaching. So I think that was I fell into it, as I mentioned, when we were living in the Dominican Republic, and I didn't have any experience at the time, but I just working with people, because at the end of the day, it's not about selling houses. I mean, houses are great, that's the vehicle, but the vehicle really is connecting with people. And to me, that's always been the thing that I love most. I love people, I love being with them through whatever change they're going through in their life, whether that's a marriage or a divorce or a death or a new baby. I mean, it's raw, it's hard, and I think being able to walk alongside them through that part, that's been the most rewarding, and that's what drew me to, working with kids, from poverty, and so it's really, that's the crossover, it's the human connection, and to me, that's what's been the biggest driver. And when I was in the Dominican Republic and fell into it, I was like, this is a great fit, and frankly, in real estate, I can make an impact and walk alongside people and make more money than I can in education. I feel, obviously, teachers do such important work, and yet, unfortunately, they're not compensated the way they should.
Oh, that's a different segment, different show altogether. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with that, and they have such a huge responsibility for our future. I mean, and I'll tell you, I get a little shifted now on education itself, and as I have two kids growing through education, and they're going through great education, is it just real life stuff that you need and you get today? Is it really what you need to benefit you down the road? So I know we're not going to get into a lot of those things.
Dave for the next session.
Right? Because I mean, there's some things I love some of it, and it's just too old school. And so, but that I love where you're coming from, from an education standpoint, because you guys, and we've talked before. I mean, we have three pillars to the business. Educate, communicate, and execute. And I think if we really lead with our passion, if our passion is to really give and educate others, then all the other things like the outcome of selling a house or buying a home or making money comes, right? It all comes. But I see too many, I would call them posers, out there on social, whether Instagram or Facebook, and it's all about Lambos and champagne lunches, and it's all about that outcome of what they are trying to obtain, right? And that's what they're wanting their audience to see. But the reality is, there's so much more. I feel. And this is just a personal thing, so this has anything to do with them, or total respect to them if that's what their deal is. But to me, they're missing the whole point of why you do what you do, right? It's to purely educate more people, and that's where we drive impact.
Value.
Yeah.
And
So
connection.
and how did you guys come together to form Dallas North?
So we were obviously both in real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and just started, brainstorming and talking about what was happening in the market. And real estate, in the last 2 years, has seen a dramatic shift with the influx of Silicon Valley and technology, and so a lot of processes and whatnot that were traditionally done by multiple agents or teams have now been streamlined to be able to do all of those things, but it rolled up in the back end. And we really saw, kind of a divergence in the field of, there's a volumes game, and then there's kind of a, luxury, if you will or not.
Sure.
I think our interpretation of luxury was not on the price point, was on the actual service. And so because we had
I love that
capability from the back end and the support of technology to be able to streamline the process for our clients, and regardless of price point, give them that white glove service and walk, hand in hand with them throughout the entire process. That's kind of how we saw us, teaming up together, so that, the clients that we were working with, that we weren't passing off with, off to other people. And I think that's.
Well, you mentioned, that has luxury. It doesn't really have to be price point. It's more about the service levels, the white glove service levels that you give. You guys have a tag or a slogan or something like that, but it's like lifestyle matchmaker, right? Am I reading that? Okay. So kind of go into a little bit of detail about that. How did that come about? What does that really mean? And how should they interpret that from an audience standpoint?
So the one thing we always talk about is that you can find a great house anywhere, but what's more important than the actual home is to start dissecting what your family goals are, what your if you're a single person, what those goals are, financial goals, and start reverse engineering it and trying to drill down on what are you wanting to get out of your life? You know, what are the next steps? Are you wanting to have walkability because you are really eco-conscious and you know, are thinking about your carbon footprint, things like I'm going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But really drilling back on that and helping
I mean, I have crystals over here and carbon footprints over here. I'm screwed, guys. I have no idea where this conversation's going.
But just really helping people identify, like we've talked about, you know, that the home is the outcome of it, but what's the journey that they're really wanting to live?
Love that.
And helping them and guiding them. And while, you know, each suburb, city, and whatnot has its own feel, even within those suburbs, I mean, the little pockets, neighborhood, and getting really hyper local with people to educate them, to let them know.
Well, guys, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean, because you're hitting the nerve for me, which is there's so much disruption coming in within our industries, right? And you have, you know, these technology companies, these marketing companies that are trying to make them appear like they have all this wealth of knowledge and all this kind of stuff, but the reality is they don't on a very local level. So I experienced that in my industry. We just had one of those Z companies just get into the mortgage business, and you know, which is great. I totally love it all. I never get worried about who gets in, because eventually they get in, they get out, because this is not their core competency. They just look at it from a dollar perspective, which is the outcome. And all of us at the local level are more concerned about the local brand, the local reputation. What does that really mean? Which means we give more than we receive, give more value than we receive in dollars, because we want the lifetime value of that client, right? That's what we're seeing is the lifetime value of the client, not the lifetime value of what we're doing as a big brand, right, to continue to facilitate the revenue for our shareholders, right?
And I think even like on a personal level, I mean, this is where we live. This is where we live, this is where we play, this is where we work. So not only, you know, is it on a business side, but I have a personal vested interest. You know, I want my community to thrive and to grow. I'm, you know, helping and moving that forward. So I think a lot of times some of these, well, I agree with you. I think there was room for disruption, and there'll be a place for everyone. You find your niche.
Always room for disruption.
But I think that, you know, that hyper local and being able to provide color and insight to those pockets, that's never going to go away. Well, you can create an algorithm that can determine it to a certain level of confidence,
exactly.
But you're never going to get that human aspect and human touch.
And the client experience as well. So I mean, there's always going to be the person where money is the bottom line, and where, you know, or it's a cookie cutter situation where, you know, using a tech company or using whatever makes the most sense. But I think there's always going to be room for that. You know, like I had mentioned before, people are going through typically a big change in their life when they make a move. I mean, it's the second most stressful thing to do, and so to have someone hand in hand with you through that process, that to me is where really the value add is as well. So it's looking at the lifestyle and how we can, you know, narrow that down and even help. Sometimes people think they know what they want, but in reality
100%.
they don't, and helping guide that process, not through us saying what we want, but asking questions and watching reactions in different
and then showing
homes
them
and showing them different options. You can actually, you know, when I moved here, I had never been, you know, originally I hadn't been to Plano. It was literally like we threw a dart on the board, and we happened to land in a little pocket that we love.
Right.
But a lot of it too is, you know, the research we did beforehand and helping someone else ask themselves those questions, because at the end of the day, they can then self-discover if it is for them.
No, I love where you guys are going with that, because I mean, disruption is part of, I think it's healthy for any industry to have some of that, because it'll allow the local A-level players to continuously level up and become where they were, right? I mean, they're always going to continue to excel, because they understand that, new technology or new ways to communicate, or just different ways that money is spread through the investing in real estate or commissions or whatever. They're using all that to better the relationships and the experience that clients have. Because really, at the end of the day, we are in the feel and experience business.
Exactly,
Regardless if it's a mortgage or real estate, the better we can make people feel about the experience they're having, then we all, as a group, win.
Yeah.
Right? The client wins because they get exactly what they were looking for, and then we win because we get 5-star reviews and we get more referrals. Right? It's not the commission. It's
Right.
the 5-star reviews and the more referrals, because that ultimately leads to that outcome. So, what are you guys doing from a marketing perspective you feel that it's really going to keep you guys in front of people? That's going to keep these bigger companies, not taking or gaining any market share from you. Where do you see what you're at today, and where are you trying to go?
So I would say it's probably a little disingenuous to say that they're not going to take market share, because they are. I mean, they're
Sure.
into play as well, and that's okay. And I don't
Right.
think that that's actually a bad thing for us. I think the way we're looking at getting in front of people and getting our branding out is really through social media.
Okay.
We both feel very strongly that, and I think you would agree as well, that it's not going anywhere, and we're embracing it in a way so that people can really get to know us on a personal level, on a business level, and just keep in front of them through, Instagram, and doing it in a non-traditional way. So kind of creating a lifestyle feed on our Instagram instead of it just always being, let me sell your house, let me sell your house.
Yep.
Really highlighting the different areas, the business owners, the principals of schools, and
Yep.
just providing real life experience in a way that somebody can scroll through, like they're all doing, we're all doing
Sure.
on our mobile device.
Everything happens, right? I have this archaic thing here. I think it's called a laptop. I have this just because I have to in my industry. But everything happens right here. This is where I do 90% of my work, my iPad or my iPhone. So embracing social media to that level, we're able to connect with people the way that they want to connect. I mean, that's the way they're living their life. This has become CNBC, NBC, Fox, ESPN, CBS. I mean, it's everything right here, right? And you can use video. And when guys, they can find you at Dallas North Group.
Yes.
Is that right? So Instagram, Facebook, just search at Dallas North Group.
At Dallas North Group,
Yep.
yes.
Because and I advise you to do that, guys, because I went in and I looked at the videos that you guys do, and I see a lot of different videos right out there, just doing my own research on people, and they are very, a lot of them are very structured and so professional and made up, where it looks doctored or what have you. And I just love the authenticity that comes through in y'all's videos. You laugh, you have fun, there's not a lot of pure editing that goes on. You're letting people see what you're seeing. And I just saw when y'all were talking about being on the Bob Mortgage show, and the camera fell and you rolled with it. Right?
It's
yeah.
I'm trying to.
And you might want to push that button on your live feed right there. That way. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I love how you guys just roll, so your audience can see that. I think that's great. And I would encourage you, as you guys continue to build out your audience and continue to build out your videos, to stay true to that. A lot of that format. I mean, they're going to want to see some structure behind some of your stuff, but stay true to that format.
Yeah, I would add, I think another important piece is just content. So adding value through free content. So, and being able to share that in different forms, whether it's through video, like blogs, but also written in just a lot of different formats, so that, people have information. I think that is also another.
Well, that's when you commit to education.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're committed to education, then that means you have to commit to it in multiple formats, because people do learn differently.
Different ways.
So exactly, they like the audio, And like I'm a video and audio guy. My wife likes to read, right? So I mean, but you have to get to her in a different way than you're going to get to me, and we have to, if we're committed to education, then we have to put out content that works that way.
And I think that's a different, and it's a differentiator between us if we're giving useful content on areas or on, a lot of these bigger technology companies aren't hyper-local, so they're not able to speak with intelligence about, a specific school, for example, or a specific area.
No, they're going to go national averages. They're going to say the national average in home sales or appreciation, and we want to know how we're being impacted here in this market, right?
Right. Or they're going to say DFW market. Well, as everyone knows, the DFW market is vast, and there's a big difference on what's going on right now in Frisco versus Highland Park. And so to just paint a broad brush and that be as far as you're drilling down doesn't really provide any insight to somebody who's moving here. So we're really drilling down to in regards to that, to be able to even market stats and whatnot, to be able to communicate that and provide that value to our clients.
Right. So you're utilizing social to prospect to find buyers, to help your sellers sell their listings. I mean, it's become part of your marketing game plan.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting for me, so I've never been a social media person, to be totally honest. Before starting with Jodi, I was like, I don't even want to go there, because I feel like there's a lot of it in my mind which is like you're putting something forward that's like your best foot forward, especially and I like the idea of being real and showing up. So that's the angle we're taking. But I'm learning to embrace it now and understand. You know what? We're all human. Let's just put ourselves out there and use that to.
Social's allowing us to. I mean, we have to be real. I mean, because if we're not, people will be able to tell.
Right.
They'll be able to see right through it. It's kind of cool. It allows us to be real and be very transparent. And I think that is where we're connecting.
Yeah.
More with our audience. And at the end of the day, there are people that may not like what you put out.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And
that's okay. And that's where a lot of things that I had to overcome a little bit in my journey with social was I was more concerned about that input and them not liking it, and I would be taking it more personal.
Yeah.
And so I had to really shift to, hey, I respect what they're saying.
And
I respect what they're saying, and I'm valuing what they're saying, but I don't really care, right, on a personal level, because I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to stay consistent to what my pillar was, which is education on that front side. But I am going to listen and respect it, but I'm not going to take it personal.
Right.
Right? And then I had to also understand the difference between a personal page and a hyper-personal page, right? Which is, you can't find that page because it's private, which is just my family stuff, I can connect with, and my personal page, which is just an extension of my business page, because you cap out at 5,000 and you try to get people to like your business page, and it kind of grows that way, and you kind of have a mix there of personal and business. But it's funny because even on my personal page, I can put out some business content that really does well, but then I put out a picture of my daughter catching a 5-pound bass or catfish, and it's gonna go through the roof because it's gonna get so many likes and so much engagement and everything else, because people still like they still like that type of content.
And I would say for me, I'm still working on getting over it. Like, I've always viewed social media as like, oh, it's a waste of time, because you can just go down a rabbit hole and spend hours on it. And so I'm having to retrain, be like, actually what I'm doing is work. This is like responding and engaging with other people. That's building the community, which is essentially what we're wanting
100%.
to do. So that's sort of a mind shift that I'm working on now, is just sort of embracing it in a different way. So.
Good.
And I think my journey with social media started a couple years ago. I got on Instagram. I was doing, home design, interior design stuff, which we still do some of, and with staging and whatnot. And very much had the same thought process, but what I found really quickly, and to my surprise, was it was building this completely supportive and collaborative environment and community within the design world of Instagram. And I can't tell you, I mean, yes, there are going to be naysayers and negativity.
Sure, absolutely.
But the majority, the vast majority is supportive, is uplifting each other, is helping, try and share and, promote someone else's business. So I found it to be almost the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And I can't tell you how many people, just even locally within the DFW area, that's how we've met, is talking through Instagram and then realizing, oh my goodness, you live 2 streets down from me.
Right.
I didn't even realize that. We would have never known. And yeah, so you kind of take it from then the virtual world and then you meet in person. And we always say that, social media is a little bit like having a virtual dinner party and just being real and, connecting with people on a.
The big thing there is you're saying connecting and engaging, right? Because the real stuff happens in your DMs,
Yes.
right? That's where you really can connect and engage and then move it from a digital relationship, so to speak, to, a more personal level of how may I really then help you, whether it is buying or selling or just connecting, right? Just putting yourself out there to where you're really willing to give. And if you commit to the DMs, the engagement, that's when you really move the needle enough in people's lives to where they want to help you back.
And I think also with, obviously content is important in your feeds and whatnot, but really shifting the mindset of what's more important is that I'm reaching out to those people that are either following me or I want to engage with and commenting on their posts and talking with them through that instead of it always being me, comment on my photo, really giving, and when you give, you're going to receive tenfold back.
Yep, I go through and I look at different people's posts and just things, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, I love your feed, I love this, I love that about it. And that if they are really good at what they do, that solicits a response back, right? And then we start engaging at another level. And you never know where it takes it. I'm not really worried about that part. I just love the process of that engagement because over time, it works out. Over time, we win that with that type of strategy. If you really are focused on, hey, this is actually, that's a really good post. What did you mean by that? Give me some feedback on that because I may be able to use it to help my audience that way. So what are you guys seeing, shifting gears to the real estate market right now? What are you guys seeing in the market today? Are we shifting, from a seller's market to a buyer? Because I hear people talk about that. We're still a strong economy. We got a really strong market right now. But are you seeing some shifting going on?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, it's been, obviously, I think a lot of people are used to this. I put my house on the market and I'm getting multiple offers within a day or so, and that was happening, a lot last summer, and we're definitely seeing
And across price points.
And across price points, exactly. I would say it's definitely starting to soften.
We know it's softening on the higher end stuff for sure, right?
And I would say a lot of it, and this is again where looking at the DFW as a whole can be problematic because it's really neighborhood specific and price point specific. So like entry level homes are still for the most part moving very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you have the biggest buyer pool.
Okay, so we say entry level homes.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a price point down. What's that going to be?
Again, that depends upon where we're going.
Sure.
Right.
I would say for the most, anything 300 and under right
Perfect.
now
Yep.
is
pretty insulated.
That's what from the finance side. I'm seeing the same thing. So $300,000 to $400,000 and under, we're still seeing a lot of activity, and we're seeing a lot of still, in some cases, multiple offer situations where we're being competitive. We should get down 200,000 and under. If you got 40 people trying to get that right, but 300, 400,000 and under, still pretty good. But you go above that, and you're starting to see some shifting.
Yeah.
So days on market, and I think the mentality too, while it is shifting from a seller's to buyer's market, I think some people have that mentality that, oh my goodness, it's crashing or bubbles bursting, and it's not that at all. And quite frankly, we're still at the highest value of home values in the DFW area right now. We're just not growing at that double
It's going to slow.
digit.
It's going to slow.
Right, which actually is a good thing because we want the DFW
to
still
remain
be
affordable. We don't want to be
people
San
to visit.
Francisco. That's why I left. Right.
Right. And historically, we've done that.
Yeah.
From a Texas market, DFW market, we've definitely done a very good job of just controlling that appreciation growth to where we aren't San Francisco or Nevada or Florida, South Florida. I mean, we don't have the high peaks and valleys in our deal, but we are starting to see a little bit of a slowing in price appreciation.
Yes.
I think now we're hovering right around a little over 5%, and we had been in the double digits for
We're
several years.
5.5 to 5.8%. Certain markets are a little bit higher than that. I mean, I'll use a 5 to 6% average depending on when I'm doing an analysis for somebody to show what their net worth is going to look like.
Exactly.
Depending on the market, you're going to be 5 to 6% easy on appreciation in this space. Some of them, I mean, we saw 12, 18, 19% appreciation. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think too for buyers, a lot of people trying to get into the real estate market, a year or 2 years ago as first-time home buyers, it could be really overwhelming and frustrating because they were competing with 40 other offers and investors, and the home might have been priced at one value and actually received 20% above when they actually closed out. So now, because the market is shifting a little bit, those buyers are now going to be able to actually get in the market, which is a good thing for people starting out and wanting to, build some net worth through real estate. So while there is that transition, it's not a negative. It can be a huge
absolutely positive
for our
And
sellers.
I was gonna say like on the seller side, I think we're needing to be much more intentional with our expectation setting up front, because I think a lot of time media can be a little bit behind, and I think just making sure
don't listen to mainstream media anyway. Listen to local media.
So just getting the expectation set, and we're really data heavy, we really do a lot of data analysis.
So go into that a little bit, because I got to believe as buyers are making offers, right? I mean, this happened, pre this slowdown. I mean, there could be 20 offers, 30 offers, 40 offers on one home, to even now where there's one offer or 5. How are you guys making sure that your clients, your buyers, are making the right offer?
Yeah, so I would say we do a lot, we're very data driven, so we do a lot of comp analysis beforehand. So, and that means, obviously pulling comps of what's sold in the last night, and looking what's sold in the last 90 days, but what's the trend, what's sold in the last 180 days. Because I listed a house, great neighborhood, and we priced it based on the comps. But the comps were dated, because when you're looking at comps, you're looking at what someone was willing to pay 30 days ago.
Sure.
Because it takes 30 days to close.
Right.
So being able to then actually see trends, and is the market trending down or up in specific neighborhoods, that's very, very important, because this one, based on comps, was priced right, and every realtor in that neighborhood had priced the homes accordingly, but it was shifting pretty quickly in the downward direction, and so everybody was having to do price adjustments because things weren't selling. So I think doing the data analysis on comps, seeing where the market's trending, speaking with a listing agent, getting the full understanding in terms of what's happening, what the seller's needs are, because sometimes, and understanding the psychology of that, sometimes the seller is in a divorce situation, you can get a great deal. Sometimes you don't know what their specific situation is.
You got a psychologist on your team.
Right. Exactly. So, I think where we are really expert is not just looking at the data part, but also looking at what's going on, the human factor, and then being able to get our client, write the offers so that our client has their best foot forward.
Yeah, I love that, because I've always, and I say it, but I don't really mean people lie. People lie, numbers don't. Right? I'm just saying the emotional side comes into it from a personal standpoint. So I always feel my house that I'm going to sell is worth a whole lot more than what the market or the data is telling me. So that's what I mean by the people lie comment. But data tells us everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I use data all the time in showing a client whether they should choose one particular loan program over another one based on the questions that we ask them.
Right.
So how long do you plan on keeping the home? How long do you plan on keeping the loan? Because those could be 2 different answers, right? And so we kind of structure a lot of that. How much money do you have invested, and what's your rate of return on that money? Because I want to look at the delta between that rate of return and pulling it out versus the interest rate and the deductions you get for tax benefits, all those kind of things to say this loan is actually better than what this loan is. And I know you came in for that loan, but you need to go with this one.
And here's why.
Here's why, the data. And so you're doing the same thing for, let's say, a buyer that's trying to decide, okay, I love this house. what do I need to make my offer at?
And I think, again, it goes back to what is the goal of the client? Because we have had clients where we sat down with them and be like, look, this is the data. If we go in at this price, technically you're overpaying. It's not worth that based on this neighborhood.
The trend.
And however, again, going back to the buyer, sometimes the buyer they are so in love with that house, they are willing to pay more than what
Sure.
the data. And so other buyers where it's like, if it's, $1 above X amount, I'm walking from the deal because they're so data driven and they want to make sure that they are getting that house for the best deal. So I think, again, where we, we're being able to work with the client and really figure out, okay, well, what are your goals? What do you want? Is this purely a financial decision? Is this, and how do you want to move forward? Because there are some people that, they want that house for the rest of their life and they don't mind if they're paying more. But I think that's the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It becomes ultimately their decision,
Right.
Like if I show them an analysis and there's 3 different comparisons and I recommend option A, they may tell me, you know what, I know you recommend option A and I see that the data tells me that, but I want option C.
And that's okay.
Okay. It's their choice, but I want them to have the data so that they make the right buying decision. So I love that you guys go through that. I'm assuming that's all comes out in y'all's initial conversation with the consultation with the clients and things like that, really understanding what are their goals with this purchase.
Right. And I would say another thing, Jodi and I go on appointments together, so that's been
good.
really helpul. So we'll go on a listing appointment.
You're picking up different things, aren't
Yes,
you?
and we're picking up different things, and then we typically will debate about price. Like if we're listing a home, both will have a different perspective. We'll both analyze it. We'll both get, without talking to each other, and then we'll,
Argue back and forth.
Really?
constructively.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, because you think about it, if you're listing the home, you're going to have a buyer on the other side. So one of us is taking the opposite position to be able to have those discussions and the ability to think through, okay, what's going to be a possible objection from a potential buyer on a home, on what's going on in the home, and how do we overcome that? Where are we supporting this number, not only on data, but then
Emotion.
Exactly.
I mean, it plays a factor in whatever it's priced at or whatever it's going to be bought at. Yes, the data tells us it's this price, but the market's showing us something different, and the buyer then is telling us completely different.
Exactly.
Right. So that's cool that you guys take a stance to it. You'll go in your corner and think about things. You'll go in your corner and think about, and then you come together.
Yeah, and I think that makes us. Frankly, I think it makes us better realtors because it's not just one person's opinion, it's 2 people, and it's 2 people that spent a lot of time looking at the data, and I think having the support of each other, both, on the listing side, being able to discuss that, but also on the buying side, if one of us is out in the field showing and one of us is in the office pulling comps, talking to the listing agent, potentially writing an offer while the other one is out showing, that just makes us able to give better service to our clients.
Are you finding that in y'all's client base, the people you're talking to? I mean, are we seeing more millennials entering this space right now for purchases?
Absolutely. I think a lot of our clients that we had the initial consult with just in the last couple weeks have been the young buyers who I think 2-3 years ago everybody had pegged, well, they're not going to want to have home ownership, and that's just not the case. They are, and now with what's going on, they do have that ability to jump in. So it is exciting. It's an exciting time for them, and it's fun for us to be able to help people, especially with that first time home buying.
Are you finding in those initial consults that there's any maybe challenges or anything like that they're expressing to you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is fear, and I think it's fear of the unknown. And once we kind of sit down and talk with them about what the actual process on like a transactional piece looks like, and on a personal, and how we're going to rope in, their lender, who is an expert that's going to come alongside us with them and help guide them, and for them to understand, we don't consider ourselves sales people. We consider ourselves consultants, and the last thing we would ever want to do, as I know you feel the same way, would be to put a new homeowner in a position where they're stretched financially, or it's not meeting the goals that they want. So I think that once we have that discussion, and it's usually about an hour consult, that fear factor, significantly, if not
So so what I'm hearing you say is it's a fear of process.
Yes, of just not understanding. I think everybody, whether it's buying a home or any engagement that you're in, if you don't know what to expect and you don't know what steps are going to happen, you don't know if you're on the right track or not. So if I know that, hey, we're going to have this lender reach out to you, they're going to ask for X, Y, Z, they will then be in response in X amount of days. They're expecting that. So when you come back then and ask for another piece of whatnot,
Sure.
they're expecting that to happen. They're not left thinking, is something wrong? Is this
Right. We're the professionals in the business. We
Right.
should know every question, right? They should be asking,
So
for the
we
most
answer it
part.
first.
So we answer it first in advance, so that gives them peace, comfort that, okay, I'm in the right place. I know that they're going to be looking out at, for my best interest, that they're going to be being able to see around the corner before they ever get to the corner. I mean, that's what we talk about as a team, everybody should be able to see where they're going if it's a straight line. But real estate and everything that goes on is not a straight line. There's so many things that goes on. There's so many corners. So we have to be great, better than anybody at seeing around these corners before we ever get there,
Right.
so that we can provide them either the answers, the solutions, the expectations, right? Because they don't know what they don't know. So it's up to us to set those expectations well in advance, right? So that we can come forward and then be able to answer that. What just crawled? I mean, something just crawled around this room. I'm like, oh my God, you guys didn't see that. But way to go, Brandon. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, so no,
Doing like a gap
yeah.
analysis and
Yeah.
then, working backwards, and as you're checking those things off, continually saying, okay, we're completing that gap and now we're headed here. And
I'm sorry, this is just really funny because I have a really loud mic and I'm sure people have heard that,
Like a tiger in the room.
Right.
Actually, that would have been a little quieter.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So,
Brandon.
right, exactly. So you love working the millennials though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good deal. And within the DFW market though, and I still see this and I do feel this way, they're still showing, like Realtor.com posted something that we're still like number 2, ranked top housing markets out there. And I think a lot of it's still because of, we do have a strong economy, right? A lot of great things that are happening here. We have a lot of companies that still are moving here. I don't think we've really, taken in everything that's come from a lot of these major companies that moved here because they maybe went out and started renting because there was a harder inventory piece, and so I don't think we still felt that. I think there's going to be more buyers than even the way we know it today, with a Toyota company moving here and just other ones that they're going to be entering this market. We're going to have more buyers here than even what we know.
Well, and there's still, especially in Collin County and up, the Dallas North Tollway,
Yeah.
they're still investing a lot of money. I mean, we just had was the biggest rezoning piece of land in the state of Texas, just
Like
north of
380.
El Dorado to 380, that whole area in Frisco.
Yeah.
The developer of Legacy West is putting in
Oh, yeah.
another
Yep.
up in Frisco. I mean, there's a mall going in. There's a lot still going on and being, pumped into the economy here. So it's a great position for everyone to be in and to have a great quality of life and a great job and be able to have that affordability.
So what's one thing? So like if a buyer is looking to vet a realtor, like to choose who they're going to
Yeah.
work with, right?
And they should.
Yeah.
You should. You should
So-
be interviewing multiple.
Okay, so what advice would you give them? What questions should they ask? They're in their interview process, because again, maybe they don't know, right? Is it just personality? Is that a way, or is there other things that you think that they should be asking?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say the number one thing is you need to trust that person, because at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of people, to be totally honest, I think the entry level for real estate, the barrier to entry is quite low.
It's low.
So,
yeah.
and so I think being able to have the conversation with your realtor, feel like you can trust them, and feel like that they have your best interests at heart, and that they are also constantly learning and staying up on the industry themselves. Because I think whether you're a new agent or an older agent, I don't think that matters as much
Sure.
as to whether you're making sure that you're understanding, okay, what's happening in the market? what's going on in these different areas, what developments are happening, and knowing and being interested in that knowledge, the realtor themselves, so that they can share that with you. Because it's not something, someone 20 years ago who may have been a great realtor 20 years ago may have no idea, if they've sort of stopped learning themselves, may have no idea what's happening now.
Continuously learning.
So I think continuously learning, and the trust level and communication skills, honestly, because I think I have personally seen deals blow up because the realtor hasn't gotten along with the other realtor. So I actually,
that's a really good point.
So I think someone who is able to communicate effectively and create, I mean, when I'm working with another realtor, in my mind, it's like, yes, we're negotiating, but we're on the same team. We're trying to make both the buyer and the seller have a win. So unless it's a win-win for both sides, it's not a good deal in my mind.
And it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a lot of hiccups to get to the closing table.
So
Right.
to me, that's the biggest factor. I'm sure there's other things I'm missing, but.
No, and I would say too, talking about, continuously learning, I think what's available now, there's so much data that's available at our fingertips, and being able to, intelligently ingest the data and then be able to articulate it back to a client in manageable ways, because this is not their full-time job. They have a full-time job as well, and I need to be able to communicate that effectively.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people have this idea, well, if this person or this team or whatnot has, sold X amount of houses, well, that makes them better than somebody who may have only sold 20 houses or whatnot. And my response to that would be, we all have the same data, so to make sure that the data is what's driving it, not necessarily a volumes play.
Sure.
But there's going to be a good fit for each person, and every realtor is not meant for every client.
No,
and vice versa.
and a lot of it does go to personality, right? So let's say if somebody calls, right, and we talk about this as my team a lot. I mean, the old saying, smile when you dial, right? I mean, or when somebody calls in, people do really connect with you. They can feel your energy on that phone, right? The level of enthusiasm you have and care and passion you have for what you do. They do hear that. And I think that that's something that I recommend to people all the time. Call and talk to somebody, right? But we also know that the majority of people start their searches, whether it's for homes or whatever, they start them online.
Right.
So the other thing is, you better start looking at the people that you feel you want to partner with, as far as whether it's real estate or mortgage. Go look at their social profiles, right? Go look at who they really are in their representing themselves as a business owner, because too many times I see, and I don't know why people do this with their business profiles, but they'll get into very controversial topics. They show themselves out partying or doing whatever. And look, hey, again, respect to those that love to do that stuff. It's just, there's a place for personal, there's a place for business, and you want to make sure that you're representing your business, your brand the right way, because to your point, it's not so much what that buyer thinks, right? It's going to be what other agents think about you, right? Because if they don't see you as professional, or they don't like the brand that you represent or how you conduct your business, that truly can impact whether the seller accepts the contract.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you need to vet your lender, your agent, like that on the social side.
I mean, I felt like I knew you before we ever met, because
Yeah.
I mean,
Because of the video.
because
Right.
of videos,
Right.
right? And seeing on social media. So that's helpful, that's useful, and I feel like I had a decent idea of your personality, and now I get to see it a bit more in real
it's
time.
better in real time. I don't know.
And I think, even to go a step higher,
Right.
talking about brokerages, I would say one of the great things about, so we're with the associates,
Yep.
and they have a Dallas office and they have a Frisco office, and I would say one of the great things that we've found thus far with this brokerage is that while it's majority individual agents, so we're all doing our own business, it is so collaborative and helpful, and doing whatever they can to push the envelope forward for each individual agent, and it's been a really positive experience, and I think that then translates down to the client level as well. So it's been.
You got some pretty nice digs too at the
the
Star,
office is not
right?
too bad.
Yeah. It's not too bad. I've been there, so it's a good place. Now, what are you guys doing with the team? So you guys, right? What's the plans? Is there plans to grow it? Is there plans just to kind of stay where you guys are? I mean, which is great as well. So
I think that's a good question. We've actually talked about this a lot, and I think a lot of times, entrepreneurs in business, like the idea is to scale it to as big as you can go, right?
Yep.
And that's really not our goal here. Our goal here is we want to be really good at what we do with those clients that we have, and so that every client we have, we are giving the full level of service. And that may mean we're capping out at a certain amount, and it's just Shannon and David, Shannon's husband, does a lot on the back end with writing. He's a fabulous writer with writing, different things such as that. There are more of a supporting role. We're more outward facing, but it may just always be the two of us.
Love that.
And I think we're okay with that.
And what I'm hearing you say is scale's great, but we really want to measure success based on impact.
Yes. So our success is not measured by the number of houses we sell.
Right.
Or our GCI. I mean, do we need to
Sure.
make money to
Absolutely.
to have a absolutely.
Yes.
But that's not our measure of success. And I think we really want to be intentional and keep that along the way, because you do see a lot of entrepreneurs where you make it to this level and it's successful, and then it's like, okay, let's blow it out of the water and just put teams everywhere and this and that, which can be great, but that's just not our goal at this point. Who knows? 5 years from now, it might change. But.
Well, I mean, I think what changes is you'll start to see because like I measure everything based on impact, right? Impact in life, right? So if I can work to impact your life, or my clients or whatever it is, then it gives me something to measure. Then as that impact starts to grow, then you have to look at, okay, can I add pieces to the team without taking anything away, so that you can add more impact.
And I could definitely see getting to a point where we're really needing someone to do some more of the admin and some of that back end stuff for us. And
right. And it's not so much you're just adding more realtors, right, to buy and help people buy and sell properties. Maybe it's just you're adding more admin support to allow you to do what you're best at, which is that's where you would measure impact, because that's what I do as a team. I mean, I don't just go out there and add a bunch of loan officers. I add people that can help me facilitate what business I bring in for impact, right? So if that means, video guys, if that means, different types of social media people, loan officer assistants, transaction coordinators, underwriters. I mean, I'm looking at it and measuring it that way.
Right.
Because I feel like my passion and what I enjoy and what gets me up every single day is just creating education, creating content, getting things out there that can help people make decisions about buying and selling real estate, and whether they should or they shouldn't, or when's the right time, whether they use me or not. That's the outcome I can't control. I can just control what now I'm the most passionate about. And I think that's where then I find other people to support me in that venture.
Yep. Help elevate.
Yeah.
Where are you guys drawing your inspiration from?
Good question. I mean, do you want to?
In regards to, kind of the business model or going after real estate, I think there's a couple on the coast, on either coast, who have done a really good job of turning real estate on its head and looking at it from a lifestyle aspect, and really intentionally, okay, the home is the outcome, the whole process of defining what lifestyle you're wanting. There's a couple, Austin Schneider on the West Coast in Seattle, fabulously collaborative. I mean, we've reached out to him on Instagram, and he's given us tips in regards to
That's
video
awesome.
and this,
Yeah,
and
that's
just
awesome.
completely like, this is what I use, and and more power to you. I mean, he's great.
Right.
I think that everyone knows Ryan Serhan. I think he in New York has done a fabulous job of just creating a consistent brand and lifestyle. Any others that you
I mean, and I would say, that's speaking inspiration in terms of a
Business side,
standpoint. And I think from a personal standpoint, for me, it's really, again, going back to the connection with people and helping them along their path. And I think that's really where I drive, that when I wake up in the morning, it's like, hey, how am I going to impact somebody's life today? How can I add value again? And there's small impact, big impact. So, right. So
Sure.
It's not like, I'm not a surgeon, performing heart surgery. I'm not
No.
saving somebody's life today. That's not,
Right.
however, sometimes it's just the way in which we engage, the way in which we, do our business that we're, wanting to model that as well, being very ethical, being, all of those things that are really important.
So it's measured on a daily basis.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the fun thing. We can sit here and really talk about the macro piece of what we do and how we can move the economy forward. But in a micro side, that it's just daily impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every day, if we can move the needle enough in one person's life, then I think we've succeeded.
Yeah.
If we measure it based on impact. So then it's just multiplying that out so that there's more people every day. And I think social provides us this. It does. It provides us that opportunity to move the needle enough in people's lives on a much larger scale. So, Jodi,
Absolutely.
thank you. Shannon,
Is
thank
that
you.
an hour already?
Oh yeah, no, it flew by. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we even went over an hour. I don't really care. It's my show, so I can go 30 minutes if this thing sucks. I can go an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes if it's great. No, we did. I mean, yeah, we just this is what this is. This is a conversation. Guys, I really do appreciate each one of you for, lending us your eyes and ears today. That over there, that camera. Hey, what's up? Awesome. I really do. I appreciate it. As always, if we rocked it out, thumbs up. If we sucked, I get it. Give me 1 star. But I want your comments. Let us know how we did. It's really important to us. Please reach out to these guys. This is what this show is about. This is what these jam sessions are about, is helping these individuals reach more people and have a much larger impact in the people that they serve. You can find them at Dallas North Group, and that's going to be on Facebook. That's going to be on Instagram. Please connect with them. We'll have all their digits and everything in our feed when we get this thing posted. Otherwise, have a fabulous day and make somebody else's day even better. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.